It's not TV, it's HBO. Now, before Game of Thrones, HBO was already quite known for its quality television. Shows like The Wire, Band of Brothers, The Sopranos, Deadwood, and that's just to name a few. But on April 17th, 2011 was the day the most ambitious television series ever created aired its first episode, and the phrase, "It's not TV, it's HBO," gained even more value. Before all this started, when you would think of the staple of the fantasy genre, you would probably think of the amazing trilogy that is The Lord of the Rings. That was based on the books going by the same name that was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't think anyone would question you thinking that. I certainly don't. In 1996, George R.R. Martin published the first book in the series of books called A Song of Ice and Fire, and the name of that book was A Game of Thrones. 4 more after that, and with still 2 to come. What he didn't know was that the books that he wrote would be picked up by HBO in what would be the most ambitious television series to have ever been produced and gain worldwide fandom, praise and recognition. In this video, I will try to explain in a certain number of reasons why when someone thinks of the fantasy genre, the first thoughts they should have is The Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. Why it's so good and why it is worth checking it out. Please get comfy, grab some snacks, and let's find out why Game of Thrones is a masterpiece. You know, when you see an episode of any TV show, the episode ends and you are left with this feeling of, what was the point of this? I'll give you an easy example. Those network TV shows with 22 episodes, where most of them you could not even watch them and you would get the whole story. In Game of Thrones, some people might say, oh man, Season 5 is a bit boring, it's so slow and not much is happening. What some people might not realize is that for me, that could be the most important season of the whole show. Although it might not be the most interesting one. I mean, think about it. We finally understand how big of a threat the White Walkers are, Daenerys learns how hard it is to be a ruler of people, Arya finally gets proper training to get her revenge, the Tyrells get a solid foot in the door of the Iron Throne while trying to push aside Cersei, we get the infamous shame scene, leading to Cersei not taking any crap from anyone after that. We get the first big battle of the series that sparks another one in Season 6. My point is, pretty much everything in this show has a point. Be it to develop characters, develop the world, or develop the story. Season 5 is the end of Act 2 of the story. It is the building block to Act 3, where it will all end eventually. Sometimes you need to be patient with the show. Sometimes you need to let the writers have their freedom so that you can get rewarded later. In my mind, when talking about TV shows, the most important part of them is how well the characters develop given the situations of their current world. Not how the world is as a fact, but how they view it by their eyes and what they do with their world and how they will affect the story. Without characters doing actions, the story will never develop. To me, characters are the most important tool in storytelling. How well they are written, how they grow within the story. What I find fascinating in these epic tales is the journey, with the destination taking a backseat to it. Without the journey, there is no tension to the story, no build-up, no excitement. For example, in The Lord of the Rings, if they wanted to, they could just create the diversion in front of a black gate, hop on top of an eagle, fly right to Mount Doom, and just throw the damn ring at the volcano. Why would that be any fun? And with that, let's talk about my favorite thing in the TV series, the characters. For me, the main reason why I watch a TV series is for the characters. I'm sorry, but if I'm staring at a screen for dozens and dozens of hours, for years, you need to have, at least in my opinion, a few characters that you like so that each time they are on, you cannot wait to see what they will say or do. If a character does something really cool, but you don't like that character, you just won't care as much, because you don't have that emotional attachment. However, Game of Thrones has that in abundance. I cannot tell you how many times some of my favorite characters have changed throughout the series. At some point, some of my favorites were Khal Drogo, Peter Baelish, Robert Baratheon, the Hound. Nowadays, it's Cersei Lannister, Tyrion Lannister, Jaime Lannister, Theon Greyjoy, Jon Snow, and I have many more. It is always changing. The cast is huge. That is what makes it so damn fun for me. Each character has its own story and motives to keep on going and try to play the Game of Thrones. Some with smaller objectives, others with huge ones. Like caring and protecting a small boy or be the protector against an ancient threat. Sometimes actions of a character in one part of the world will have repercussions on another part of it. Another positive point about the cast is that it has a lot of great female characters. Now, I don't particularly care about that. If a character is good, for me it doesn't matter the gender, but for some people that matters. If you are one of those people, don't worry, because you will have a lot of those. In these type of stories where there are kings and male leaders of people, sometimes they can be quite prideful and think, I'm a man and I take shit from no one. Well, the female gender in Game of Thrones is more of a cunning type, playing the long game but ruthless one, and that is the situation in Game of Thrones. It is certainly the case, and what I would say are the two most important female characters. First, Daenerys Targaryen. She starts almost like a slave to her brother, doing every single thing he commands. But through the confidence that Khal Drogo instills in her, although with some hiccups along the way, she eventually blooms into the beautiful, confident, nurturing killing machine we all know and love. Next up, Cersei Lannister. She is probably my favorite female character. What I love about her is that she takes shit from some people, but she eventually knows she will get what she wants. You hurt her, she will hurt you back 1,000 times worse. She tortures you, haunts you, backstabs you with a poison blade, and it will hurt like hell, and you will die in agony. Hell, sometimes even in a fiery explosion. I mean, look at this evil, cunning, backstabbing face. And when some of those moments happen, for me, they are pure delight when she does them. HBO right now is thinking of doing some spin-off series of Game of Thrones. And I know I'm not the only one that would love the idea of a series where Arya and the Hound would go off in these little adventures together. And we both know we would love that because we like seeing them together. We like seeing them interact with each other. I mean, I think I could watch a season of them just doing that. And that is because of the writing, characters, and their interactions. I don't care about characters in almost every procedural generated show, because most of the times the writing just isn't there. Because these type of shows don't necessarily want or need good talent in the writing department. That happens because of the middle-aged and senior adults that these type of shows are geared towards. They just simply don't care about those things. So the TV networks do the same. Now, if you don't love a cast of characters, what is even the point of watching a TV show? Now, I know there are other reasons, but these characters will be the people that will guide you through the story. If you don't like these people, will you really suffer through hours upon hours of watching something where you don't like the cast of characters that you have? Characters that absolutely annoy you to the point of dropping a show, or when you finish an episode, you leave with a bad taste in your mouth. Let's be honest here. If you're a regular watcher of television, it's a pretty big commitment. You shouldn't waste time doing something you don't enjoy. You should always strive to have as much fun as possible with your free time. That is where the characters of Game of Thrones come in. You will like a lot of characters, however, one of the things that made this show so popular was that there was always a chance your favorite character would die. With that in mind, people always seem to have this caution of when watching Game of Thrones, they say to themselves, Okay, I'm watching Game of Thrones. Body and mind, get ready! At least for me, that happens. A lot. I don't know, maybe that is just me, and what is interesting is that it almost does this mind trick, where someone you care about dies, you say to yourself, God damn it, I'm gonna stop watching this. However, I get the feeling that a lot of people that say that, I bet 90% still watch to this day, because they also know that there is also a chance of a character they hate to die. It kinda gives a taste of both worlds. I like a lot of characters from Game of Thrones, even the bad guys. You love to hate them. I know I do. You have the bastard son of a king who is slowly meeting his destiny, the dwarf who just wants to be recognized about who he is and what he can do, and not by how he looks. There are many characters in Game of Thrones. You could even say there are no main characters. At some point, some characters are more important than others. There are so many moving parts that each character has their own story, that in some way will affect the story of the world, and how all the stories will connect. Hell, even just the name of a character can have a big impact on you as the viewer. When a pivotal moment in the story of a character happens on screen, the first thing I think is, oh my god, this is happening. All the build-up throughout the seasons, all the moments of a certain character has gone through, the defining moments of that character, the path she will walk, the relationship with her mentor, the path taken, and her destination. When it finally happens, I get this rush of emotions that is unrivaled by anything. It's also one of the reasons why I like TV series more than movies. Because you care about the characters on screen, you want them to succeed, you want them to be safe, you want them to find love, success. In a movie I don't care that much, because the time investment I put in them just isn't the same. So the level of importance to me is simply not on the same level. I mean, there is a reason why The Lord of the Rings and Star Wars movies are so damn popular amongst nerd culture. Because you just have so much content in the worlds that the creators built, that fans get attached to these things. It's almost like you are visiting good friends or family. The amount of happiness that a die-hard Star Wars fan gets when they are about to see a Star Wars movie must be one of the most important moments of their year. I mean, when the first trailer of The Force Awakens came out, the excitement for the movie was incredible. Because there is that story, those characters, and that world that you have followed for years. However, what makes Game of Thrones so special and unique for the television landscape is without a doubt their budget. Yes, you heard me right. Without this, Game of Thrones just wouldn't be the same. Of course, the power and prestige of HBO helps, but with the incredible amount of budget they have, you can get better actors, better writers, better CGI, better costumes, diverse shooting locations, and let's not forget, incredible battles that rival the best movies that Hollywood has to offer. When you are in Dorne, you get this Arabian vibe emanating from the world, with color palette being very warm and colorful, or scenes taking place around the wall. It's very dark and cold, you get this feeling of isolation and danger. The costumes used are distinct from each other. A character from King's Landing is vastly different from a character of the Dothraki. One has a feel of nobleness and duty, while the Dothraki feel like wild people, nomads that wander the world going from one point to the other. You have different languages and customs of each civilization. Sometimes you can feel a bit lost with this show, since there are so many plot points and characters you need to follow. But I would say that people working behind the scenes do a very good job of building this world that was initially in the books. Each scene feels like it's in a completely different story, in a completely different part of the world. Each corner of the Game of Thrones world feels unique. But in my opinion, the most important thing they can do with the budget is the CGI that complements the amazing battles in mystical creatures this world has. A lot of the times when I watch a TV show, when they have to use CGI, almost always it will look bad, sometimes incredibly bad. Yet, when you have the incredible amount of money that Game of Thrones generates and HBO offers, you get quite possibly the best CGI that will grace our televisions. I mean, let's just compare Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. I would say it's just as good, if not better, than The Lord of the Rings. Yes, I know, The Lord of the Rings came out some time ago, but still, it is no joke. When you compare both, and you think one of the most important Hollywood franchises ever created, where it got 17 Oscars to a TV show, it's incredible. I still remember when the famous episode 9 of season 6 aired, titled The Battle of the Bastards. I was completely amazed. The production value was out of this world. I mean, look at this.
No! Draw! I was just kill our own men. Stand down. You!
All I kept thinking was, I am watching a TV show right now. I am watching television right now. Just that initial shot of all those horses coming to crush Jon Snow, where you could only see his back, along with the enemy forces, giving you the sense that he might die. Although you knew that his own army was coming, the way that it was shot, you didn't know for sure, giving this feeling of impending doom playing with your heartstrings. The impact of the horses colliding, the sound design, it was incredible, with the horses and men in the background screaming with pain. That incredible shot of Jon Snow battling through waves of enemies, the CGI complementing the choreographed action of the actors and doubles was incredible. The only other TV network that could rival this would be Netflix. And even with all the money that they have, it will be incredibly difficult to match what HBO has done with this series. Game of Thrones makes me excited for the future of the medium that is in. Nowadays people call this the golden age of television, and I would agree with them. With Game of Thrones leading the charge, nowadays even more big Hollywood actors are doing TV series. Also others that I think Hollywood forgot for a moment that they existed and get reminded. Oh, I guess this guy is still pretty good. But still, they insist on recycling these same actors over and over because, hey, I guess they will make the movie more profitable or marketable. Which that isn't always the case. Just an example from one of the best movies of the last year, The Nice Guys. This movie had a $50 million budget, however, it only grossed $57 million. That is a massive failure in the eyes of the Hollywood suits. A series or even a mini-series would suit much better the type of this movie. In television, that movie, in my opinion, would be a lot more in people's minds, or at least seen with more success, because it is just a completely different environment from movies. Nowadays, if your movie isn't some CGI action extravaganza, almost no one will watch it. You could say Game of Thrones also has some of that, and yes, you are correct. However, those big set pieces only began in Season 2, Episode 9, called The Blackwater. After that, there were only about 4 other moments where some big set piece happens. It doesn't rely on them to be entertaining. The episodes where the set pieces happen are the rewards of all the build-up throughout the season. And thinking about how Season 7 will only have 7 episodes and Season 8 only 6, that means only one thing: more budget to spread around between each episode, meaning even greater episodes to come. I cannot wait to see how those episodes will be. Judging by the 2 trailers that came out for Season 7, oh boy, it's going to be very, very fun. The fandom around the show is immense. People love this series with a burning passion, because at the end of the day, human beings most of the times gravitate towards something that has quality, something that makes them feel alive, that gives them an incredible amount of emotions, that will make them lose sleep, that will make them think about Game of Thrones for years to come. If someone is recommending Game of Thrones to a friend, the easiest things to say: any characters can die without any warning, and it's super unpredictable. However, it would be a disservice to all the work that George R.R. Martin has done with his books. It is so much more than just deaths and cool mystical things. It's about honor, betrayal, pride, loss, success, vengeance. It is everything good and bad about human beings that are placed in a mystical world that is called Game of Thrones. This show promises a lot of things and delivers in every single one of them. And all of these reasons I mentioned is why Game of Thrones is a masterpiece.